Hi, I'm Stevan.
And we're Cosmo's Midnight, and we're going to be chatting about writing our album and the songs we did together, Ice in Idaho. Here we go. So Ice actually started out as a pitched down version of We Could Last Forever, and
Recycle.
we slowed it down, and then Cos just like completely changed it, put new drums on it and new bass, and then that was it. We're like, this is a vibe. I kind of just turned auto tune on and just sang some random stuff in, and we're like, oh, this is kind of pretty vibey. And then we just sent it to Stevan, and he's just like a wonder boy, and he comes up with a whole song with just like this 10-second loop we sent him. And then from that point we were just like workshopping it, but there's something about this bridge he did which was just, all I want to do is kick it with you, and I was like, I love that so much, but I didn't know where to put it, so we like wrote a whole different section at the end which is basically a new song, and we just thought we'd just like tack it on. And it's something that I feel like you can only really do in an album, is like have this just like extended outro that just changes the mood up really hard, and that was something that was real fun.
When we sent you the demo, what was your first thoughts, or like how did you decide how to go about with like, you know, the intro, the crazy intro? You're like, I feel the eyes nice and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, I don't know, I just got so inspired when I heard the intro that was on the track, and it was just like, it gave me a lot of Tori Moi vibes for some reason, and I heard it and I was just like, yeah. The first thing that came to my head was Ice, and I was like, why am I thinking this? And then like I just got my microphone and I just started recording layers and layers of the word ice, and then a melody started to form out of that.
I feel like something that's like really is like a staple, like a signature of your sound is like really dense layering and like tons of vocal harmonies. It's crazy, like you bring these really like unique harmonies that like me and Cos would never think of.
It's also like a credit to like the chord progressions and how open it is, because like
it's
if
like
something
real simple.
Yeah, exactly, and if something's super dense, it's harder to think of like other notes that might fit, but like it's really natural, especially when the songs are like composed well and there's enough space for it. I just hear it, and like to be fair, like even with Idaho, there was such a nice foundation, like so I didn't have to think too hard. I was just like, oh, this is super nice. What would this note sound like, and this note, and this, and
just keep stacking it up.
Exactly, yeah.
Do you feel like when, like as opposed to writing your own music, when you're sent a song, it just comes like, does it come quicker or is it harder when you're writing your own?
So much quicker.
Yeah.
Because like I'm not in my mind as like a producer. I'm purely just like
figure out the vocal.
Yeah, figure out the vocal.
It's kind of like liberating when you're like working on something other than your own project, because you can just be like, damn, I can really do whatever I want to an extent.
Yeah.
Man, when you came back with that first vocal, I like sent it to like all my friends, and I was like,
that's
check
crazy.
this out. Like,
I was like,
it's like in a day.
When I heard the intro, I was like, I kind of got a bit of a Frank Ocean vibe.
Yeah.
And then when it drops into the verse, it's just like, nah, this is like full on Stevan.
Yeah.
Man, I feel like this song is like such a crossroads of like genres, like a little bit psych, a little bit like reggae, and like a bit of R&B.
Yeah,
I guess it's kind of like the whole album in a way.
I mean, when I played the version with you singing on it, my mum was like, you need to put a reggae feel in there. So I was like, all right.
That's legendary. Yeah, no, I also wonder about you guys, like what influenced you to start pulling, because I remember the first draft beat, it was like a different thing from the thing that became. So like what influenced you guys to start like adding different stuff and switching up styles, even with the outro? Like what the hell?
We often we do that with like a lot of our demos. Like some of my friends, like the way they write, they have their core idea, and then that is the idea, and like maybe they have like slightly different iterations of that. But like we just for the sake of wanting to know, we're like, what if we just take it in a different direction? And we have like all these different demos that just take it into a different style or genre and see which one works for us the most.
I feel like it was just like the moment we started putting in like that like chord on the offbeat, the dun dun, where like it just feels like it's got that dubby vibe. And so
we
it's
don't want
kind
to
of
go too far down the dub vibe, so like also like range it in with like some of the drumming being like not too offbeat and like dubby.
Yeah, like keeping it like the drums kind of got that psyche kind of like Britzy Collins feel. And then I don't know, that song just kind of just happened like that, and the outro was just hearing your vocal do that just made me want to write that section. I was just responding,
and we had that came with like a super tramp like synth like on the, and then it was like we just wrote that like, okay, this is gonna happen, we just have to do it. And
the outro took me for a loop because I'd done that bridge melody, and I was
it was
like,
at a different point of the track,
and I was just like, oh, okay, and I'm hearing it, and then at the end it was like it just had a whole new context. Like you guys just took that, and it's almost like you're like, nah, just like
It's where like a whole new song.
yeah, a whole new song
on,
basically,
yeah.
and it's like
Yeah, it's been so fun.
But
to,
I think
like,
it's like what makes it work though is that it's only like 30 seconds or
For
whatever.
sure,
Like if it
yeah.
was a whole song, it would lose the impact. It just
Yeah.
needed to be that one bit with like that one lyric.
And
That
which was,
like
like, interesting.
melody and lyric is something that I feel is like really. It feels like more quintessentially like your vibe. Like
yeah, for
I
sure.
was like I kind of wanted to pull it more your direction, even though it's like a little bit more like psych rocky. But I feel like I can just see your like band and you jamming
Playing
that
that
part out
100%,
specifically.
100%.
So I was like kind of writing that as because it was like a collaboration. I was like I
Yeah.
can just like spin it.
Yeah, well, that was cool. Like, and I won't lie. Like when I did play it with the band, like I just remember them like they were. So you know when people are bopping to something, because that's a vibe you get from the song. It's like a natural slow jam groove, and then the outro, it's like their heads were like shaking aggressively. So like it's such a cool thing to actually see sections. You create moments with songs, and I think you were mentioning that before, like about like making an album. You can actually create moments as opposed to just having a 3-minute loop.
Yeah, it's definitely something you can get away
with.
with because like if you're like working like radio singles like or we're just trying to do singles where it's like three and a half minutes, like
sure, yeah.
the structure's pretty rigid, but you know like,
and being able to do that within 3 minutes, it can sometimes throw off the track a bit.
Yeah,
So being able to
exactly,
have
yeah.
that like extra, minute for an album, you
Yeah.
can really kind of try to do something else with it.
It's just such an exciting thing. I haven't heard something like that in a while. Like that's something I used to hear like on old R&B albums. The very last track. You'll
dude,
wait.
that's like
you know?
well, I was kind of thinking a bit of like video clips like by like Tyler the Creator and stuff where like
Oh,
Or like
Yeah.
how they have intros where the intro is like a different song that maybe wasn't even on the album.
yeah, but you
And
know
you're
how like
why wasn't that
there
on the album?
how Mr. Lonely in 911 well like in the
Yeah.
video clip it was like slammed into 911 at the end
True.
and I was like oh it's so bop and I was like
okay.
they teased
Yeah,
the
that
single
makes
off that
sense.
It goes from like one of his big singles and then just goes into like one of the deeper cuts, and you're like those jammed together. Just
it's
sound
like
so
the contrast is what makes it
okay.
extra
So you kind of want to
vibrant.
just have that in a song, because I feel like people do that often in film clips. But like, why don't they just have this moment where it
Yeah,
can
I
sit
feel
by
like even
itself?
like Joji did that on like his latest record. There's like a song that just spends like 3 minutes as orchestral vibe and then it just jumps into this crazy beat. Do you reckon you can tell us about the lyrics on the song?
The first initial vibe when I got the beat made me feel like I was super confident. I felt like and the whole icy refrain is meant to be like, when people refer to like jewelry as ice
Yeah.
and stuff, and like I was just like, okay, I'm icy. I felt like the beat was making me feel like I was cool, and like along, that's the way that I felt at the time, and like
Iced out.
Yeah, iced out, and I was just like, I don't have any ice. I don't own any jewelry, but
I
like,
feel like I do.
exactly. But I feel like I do, and that was the whole thing, and then through that sort of confidence, like in that, like I don't know, intro, like
Man, the intro for me,
pre-verse.
it's like so fucking like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like like when like a I don't know, like a fight or a breakdance, like before they get
Yeah,
they're like setting up for
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
It's like,
That-
I'm getting ready,
yeah,
like
yeah.
psyching yourself up.
You're psyching, and that was
Yeah.
the whole thing. Like it was
Yeah.
psyching myself up for the verse. Yeah, but the verse is like, tell me what you really see in me, lady. Don't play me. I don't want to fool around. Maybe we could be something really real. It depends on how you feel. And yeah, that's like it's all playing into that whole narrative about like me trying to be cool, pursuing this person. Like sort of like that sort of struggle is like I don't want to be too much into my head with being iced out or being cool. I don't want that to overshadow this me being genuine while I'm pursuing this person. But like the icy refrain I think is the real thing, and then throughout the verses it's sort of just picking that apart. You know what I mean?
I feel like my verse on that I'm like I kind of took it in a different direction because you're like talking about the future and mine's like looking back. I go like it's like hey it's been a long time since you're on my mind, and then it's like oh I'm scared, thought we'd go to town on a tear. So it's like you're like I thought we'd do all this shit together and it didn't happen. I was like sort of speaking to myself as well. I don't know, I was just like thinking about how if you're like looking back on things you regretted and like what you thought you'd do and you didn't do them. I don't know, it's just like a sort of headspace I was in at the time and I just wanted to write about that. But yours is like you got this like confidence about it, and then mine is sort of like you've like gone through all this stuff and you're looking
Like, damn, I
back and
wish
you're
I
sort
had
of
that
just like
confidence.
you're just
Yeah.
reflecting on it.
That's a great contrast too, especially because I'm talking about the future and then you're talking about the past, and it's almost like my experience is like to be lived whereas yours is actually a lived
Yeah.
experience, and it plays well
Old
into
and
each
full of
other.
regret, young and full of hope.
Well, I didn't say no.
Yeah, mine's like a kind of jaded verse, and his one's
Yeah.
like all like
Optimistic and like youth. Yeah,
But then
yeah,
I like it because at the end it all ties it in, because it's like all I want to do is kick it with you.
Dude.
So it's like
Yeah.
it's
Forget
all you
all
wanted to
that
do, all you want to do,
Yeah.
and that's all I wanted to do. So
Anyways,
it's like
and it's like it's such a nice way to tie it up. Actually, thematically, maybe it's like at the
yeah,
very
and
end
it's
of
like
the day,
when
yeah.
we're singing it together at the end. So
Yeah.
it's just like this cool.
the two versions of like
And this
whatever
all just happens.
coming together.
So planned it out so hard.
Yeah, we thought about this. I remember being like,
Yeah, we're like talking about it for days, and we're like, we
this
need
is
to
what
do.
we want to do. This,
We actually wrote this song without like ever
Meeting up.
being in the same room.
yeah, which is
kind of like weird, but it was
Yeah.
good because
We couldn't interrupt. Like we couldn't be like, oh, you know, like get like have second thoughts, like, which is like lets him do completely what he wants, and
True.
means that we're not like, you know, backseat driving any of the writing
Yeah.
or anything, which sometimes we do.
No,
Yeah.
like, even for me, like personally, I think it was just exciting. One day, I think like Tom just sent me an email. I was like, oh, the boys worked on a beat. I'm like, do you want to hop on? I was like, yeah. So like that excitement, even though I wasn't in the same room, it's just like, oh, it's new music, hearing new sounds, and I knew they were working on an album. So like, it just built up all this anticipation. If we had organized a session, I think it would have like stuck slowly.
yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm going into the room. I'm training up to Sydney. We're
Yeah,
sitting-
yeah, it's like-
slowly it like kind of like
becomes a thing.
It
rather
becomes
than
a thing.
like, hey,
yeah.
I can just write right now, download
right
the beat,
now in
listen,
the
and-
moment. Yeah. So like everything was so quick. I heard it and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. It was like one of the first times that I've done something like that, where it's like I heard the beat and I was like, I know. I'm glad they liked it because
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like,
I think it was really
I was
good though,
married to
because
the
like
first
you're like the way you responded to it just made it so easy for like us to write it after that as well.
Oh,
It was
perfect,
like
yeah.
we gave you like this little slice, and then you
Yeah.
just took it and made it into this thing, and then we could just like it was
Yeah,
just
like
super
honestly, when
easy
it came
for
back,
me.
we were like, it's done. Like we were already like going ahead, like, okay, this is the song. We just had to like
That's-
make it now.
that's
Like everything was
intense, yeah,
there. We
that's
just had to
crazy.
pull it together. Yeah, collaboration is like, it's weird because a lot of the time, you know, you go into a studio and you try and make something happen there. But I feel like sometimes magic can, or like something special can happen when you do it via like, you know, email or Skype, whatever, where you can't really like oversee too much and allow
Yeah.
someone to like do exactly what they want with it. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, I feel like it happened in the best way, only because like I guess I offered it up, and then it was like a few weeks actually before you guys hit me back with the current version, right?
Yeah.
So like it was just so satisfying to then hear
was
what
like-
you guys had done.
And it was like so different as well.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, you know what I mean? Like I had a genuine like first time hearing it, and it made my vocals sound fresh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'd been listening to the demo that we'd been working on. I'm like, and then like when I heard what you guys did, I was like, whoa, what's this? It sounded like a new song, and you can't have that if you're in
Doing it
the room.
yourself.
You're seeing the process.
Yeah,
and
every
have
time.
that, like,
yeah.
fresh response to it.
Yeah, never. So like it was like to this day, it's still an exciting track. Anytime I do show like, you know, the band members this one, like Ice, they freak out because they're like, this is like so
It's
different.
just like a complete thing, and they hear it
Yeah,
straight away. Like
exactly.
no prior
No,
demos or
yeah.
anything. So it's just like this whole complete thing with you on it.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is a song to them. Whereas like, you know, if you are in the studio, like we said, it's like a drawn out process. You're there from A to Z. It's like,
You can lose a bit of the
the magic
vibe.
and the excitement, but that definitely wasn't lost with this one. Yeah, so guys, like what was the process with, I don't know, producing and writing and also even collaborating, I guess, because you guys, that's an aspect of like your creation process. How was that during this time, or even for this specific project?
I feel like, to be honest, like the way we write hasn't really changed all that much. Like it's like very me and Cos just doing our thing, and you know, like a few songs we write in the, like we get friends in, like Can You Dig It, we wrote in like our studio in Redfern. Like last year we came back from this warehouse party in like Bullight for New Year's Eve, and then we were just like hungover.
banged it out and, like,
we just wrote Can You Dig It in that day.
Damn.
And like some songs you just write with your friends in the day, and then some other ones, you know, we wrote like Ice, where you just like emailing the ideas back and forth and back and forth, you're just like responding to it.
Yeah.
Which is also, it's just different energies, but yeah, mostly it's just me and Cos just like swapping through the hot seat, just like taking turns making
like
beats.
one of us comes up with the demo, the other person kind of works on it a bit and gets it to another point, and then we kind of like meet together at another point and get it to like a finished like
Yeah, I
part.
feel like it's like I don't know, it feels really helpful to have a person to bounce off. So like imagine writing a whole mixtape on your own is like a different energy.
Yeah, no, like that's one thing that I'm beginning to really appreciate now is like being able to collaborate, because like I just said, like that whole the freshness that I got when we were making Ice was because like I could hear something different, and it's a different opinion, different framework. With like with the Just Kids mixtape, it's like I was in my head, so I love the song. But because I spent hours
You're like
producing
really close
it,
to it.
I'm too close. That can be a thing. Sometimes you
Like some of the tracks on that were like some of your really early songs that you've written and made their way into this debut
For sure,
mixtape. So it's like sometimes with tracks that you've had for like a while, you start to sometimes you can like doubt it or anything. And even like some of the tracks that we had on this album that like took a long time to come about, we're like, damn, like
It's like if it was this hard to like get it over the finish line, is it like a good song?
Yeah. Did you try too hard? Because like sometimes music is a thing that's like, you know, you capture something.
Yeah, and then like
should feel effortless sometimes.
As opposed to trying to force it to work. Like, you know what I mean? But
like I feel there are songs on our record that listening to them, I hope they all feel like equally effortless, but there were ones that were a lot of work to get over the finish line. Like were there any songs for you that were just like, oh my god, like this song is just killing me?
it was either Normal Regrets or Warm. And I think it was Warm. And the reason why Warm was such a difficult song was I built the whole track around this really nice beat break that was unfortunately impossible to get licensed. Like it's a very famous beat break. I was sampling like a beat break, and then like I was married to it because that's the version of the song.
Built around it.
And I loved it, and it's the whole song is built around the drums. Like if the drums are taken out, like the song loses.
Yeah, it's like the whole energy. In the
exactly.
Like finding a good replacement for that.
Yeah, and then I had to basically what I did was I went back in, and I just remembered like spending a week just freaking out because it was meant to be a single too. And this came about so it was like you know, last minute. And then like I remember sitting at a park, and I sat at the park and I scrolled through some drum sounds or whatever, and then I started chopping up other like sounds that I had and like sequencing, and then I came across the current one that you hear on this version. And after that I was just like, thank God.
Yeah.
You know,
Like, if that didn't happen.
exactly. I was just like, if that didn't happen, no single or weak drums on the single, and you don't want that.
You know, you've come so far in the last few years, like learning to write in like, you know, new programs and like learning more instruments and stuff. With this mixtape, do you feel that you learn a lot about the writing process or the way you write?
I feel like with this mixtape, it was just a perfect time for me to, I guess, like get through, like, you know how people say you have to pay your dues. I reckon that's what this was. Like I learned the fundamentals maybe of music making, and now I feel like I'm at a stage where it's time to do the whole finesse thing. I remember I was talking to you guys about your production. I was just like, the thing that I love about you guys is like you'll make a beat, but then you'll bring it to life. It doesn't just sound like a drum loop. You've reached a stage where you know the fundamentals and you finesse, like, and that's like, hey, but not to pat you guys on the back too hard, but like, that was the mixtape. The mixtape was me learning the fundamentals and like, I think
kind of coming of age.
Yeah, coming of age thing.
Production as well.
Yeah. Oh, dude, the whole thing. Now I'm at a stage with production where I feel like I'm really just like, I can like do the whole like the salt the salt bathing.
I can lemon,
a little bit of
I can
spice it up. You know what I mean? But
I'm here and like I'm doing my thing now.
Exactly. But the Just Kids mixtape was me really working that out. To be honest,
but I think honestly, like you can't like forget. I don't want to say like innocence, but like, you know, that thing where you're kind of like stabbing in the dark a bit. Like you want to hold on to that feeling as well. Like otherwise you can lose, like you can get over clinical and stuff. I feel like a lot of songwriters have not talked to, but like listen to how they write and stuff. Like the more they get in down their career, the more they like start fucking stuff up on purpose and like dirty things and making them. They're like, they learnt the rules and stuff, and now they're just like breaking them.
Damn.
But like the thing is, when you start out, you're like breaking rules without knowing it, and you gotta like make sure you don't like lose that.
That's funny that you say that because
people. That's what people like about you. Like, you know, people listen to you because of the music you came up on. So like, like,
that's true.
Knowing that and like respecting where you came from while also moving into your next thing.
For sure. I feel like the weirdest things is because I'm just like, oh, I wonder what that will sound like.
Yeah, like I feel like when you make a mistake, you like, sometimes it's like you want to keep that mistake because it just added something. Like there's so many times where like, I know, I copy pasted some MIDI and I like did it wrong and I was like, wait a sec, like this is kind of the vibe.
I agree in the sense that like, even like with some older stuff, maybe like the ideas, like it's sometimes like when you're stumbling, you just find really great ideas. And I remember like there's some old demos that I have and I listen to them. I'm just like, this idea is amazing.
You're like,
you know what I
like,
mean?
how did I think of that?
Yeah, how did I think of that? And like it's those tend to be, I think, the funnest ideas is when it comes out of nowhere. And like when you're right, when you do get a little more focused and clinical, you're like, okay, I want the drums to sound exactly like that. And because you can do it, it doesn't leave room for that mistake that would have turned into like this really fresh idea. But I'm still not at that stage anyways where I can be that clinical. So like you're right, it's such a big part of my songwriting. Even the like, not to call it back, but even the icy thing, like that started because I kept hearing the word ice in my head and like I kept pursuing that idea, but like it made no sense at the time. It's just ice, you know what I mean?
I feel like that songwriting for a lot of people though is like you don't know why you're doing something. Like I was explaining like a million times in Idaho, and I was like, I have no idea why I gravitated towards these words. They just like pop out to you for some reason. While you're like just ad-libbing, and you're like,
you try not to question it too much.
Yeah,
see
like,
where it'll take you.
And then like as you go, you're kind of like uncovering this thing that you're not really sure what it is, and then by the time it's done, you have like this full picture.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like a lot of music, like at least for us, it's not like a clear engine sight thing. You kind of have this block and you like chip away at it and you start like making out details, and then like slowly this like image comes together, and then you start focusing on how you're going to finish that off and like make that clear.
Yeah.
And hopefully not ruin like the initial, you know, essence of it in the process.
You want to keep it fresh.
That's what I think. That's why like I gravitate to your sound, or just the way you guys make music so much. Like I said, you guys have I guess like the precision, but you are very much like you feel music first, and I'm just like that. I never got formally trained with music, so I can't be like, oh, this is like an F major 7/3. You know, like sus chord. I don't know that stuff. I feel it.
Go off the ear.
Like, go off the ear and like what the music is saying, and like I strongly believe that. Like
I've like consciously like made an effort not to learn more music theory, because like it's just going to get to a point where it's like hindering.
Oh, you're like at this point like, oh, there's 3 possible ways I could go now, and like whereas like you're just doing it like instinctively, like, oh, that works because I listen to it and it sounds good.
True.
Like, and that's the way you
and I feel like even
out.
like I know like drums is like your main proficiency, but like I feel like all these dabbling and like getting good at other stuff is like just adds. It's what gives your like music such like a unique energy, is because like you're a drummer, but like you're doing the bass, you're doing the guitar, you're doing everything. So it just like lends this like really unique kind of like fresh and like raw feel to it. Like you make sure you hold on to like what you got now, because that is like what like I like listening to, is hearing that like just that fresh discovery. Yeah. What's your favorite song to play live, you reckon?
Favorite song to play live? Woo. That's a really great question. I haven't played live in ages, so like, I have to think about that.
Okay, what was your favorite song to play when you were like touring?
When we were touring?
Demo or otherwise? Like, like songs that weren't out then but are out now, or...
Well, we used to play this song, and it was hilarious. Like, it's a song called Autumn, and I've never released it, but it used to be this demo that we played, and it had this like weird thing with the chords where we'd snap, but it'd be like a certain rhythm, and then like the keys, the bass, and the guitar would all snap on the same beat, and then cut out, and then come back in, and it was like super fun to see the audience like react to it, because it'd be like boom, and then come and like the cut, the cut, and they'd be like. And then he'd come back, and it was cool. And
also, dramatic moment.
Yeah, very, very big moment, and I've got to finish that song actually. Yeah.
Following up from like a debut album, first of all, it's like a blessing to like be able to do another one and have the demand for it, because like doing your first album, I feel, was extreme pressure, because it's like, if you've had like 4 years to make it, like it better be good.
And it's kind of like your first big statement.
Yeah, like really. I'm here, this is what I'm doing, this is like our music, this is what it sounds like, this is the definitive. You know, once we've done that once, doing it again is not as scary. Like coming together and writing an album, we like had hundreds of ideas for this album, and like so much of it is just throwing out possibilities. Like I was saying with like Idaho, you got to like experiment, see what works, see what doesn't, and just play with all the potential ideas you could do, and then throw them away because they don't work, and then come up with album number 2.
Yeah, I feel like there's always pressure though with music. You know, you're always like, there's a chance that you never know until it's out there. Like you can have friends listen to it and they like it and stuff, but like you will never like get a true reaction until you've got the whole thing out there.
Yeah, so it's definitely like scary being like like 80% of the tracks like me singing on it, which is definitely something like not many people have heard me sing except for Yesteryear. So I was like really relieved that people are digging that track, because if they didn't like it, I'd be like, well, there's a whole album like that. So it's been really rewarding to sing on stuff, and I can't wait to start singing it live, because that's something that I wanted to do, but it's been like pretty scary. But I've been waiting to like get to the right point in like our live show to start singing, and like that's where we are now.
Do you guys think that is this part of like I guess maybe the anxiety or maybe fear, like the fact that it's a new sound as well, like it's not the same as the last one at all, really?
Yeah, I feel like we want to like move forward, but like not completely abandon what we've done. Like we're keeping it dancey, we're keeping it like upbeat, but it's like we want to make it more, you know, grounded. We want it to be more like singer-songwriter. We got stuff we want to say, and it's not just all electronic in the box writing, you know.
I think a big part of music for us was always, from the beginning, was seeing what we liked from what we did last, taking those bits and then trying to move forward in some way. For example, I could name some tracks of what comes next that have the essence of this album still within it. Like you could listen to like Polarized or Get to Know, and you know, even some of the more complex, you know, moments like the second half of like Montego, and that we brought forward into this next album. And I think a big part of music for us is learning from your previous like, you know, works and trying to build on them, because like no one wants to write the same album or the same music forever, and it's
like I feel like people get bored if you know just keep putting out the same song like 10 times over every few years. But I feel like if you like really put all your like energy and effort and passion into a track, people are going to respond to it. Like Can You Dig It? We didn't really expect it to be to be as popular as it was, because it was mainly just a dance track. It wasn't really any like pop elements to it. It's kind of just a dance song. But like when we played it out for the first time, we were like, holy shit, like people were really liking this. And we did not expect it to like kind of become our biggest song. It's our like first song to get in the Hottest 100, and like I think it's our fastest song to like go gold as well, which is nutty. Wow. So it's just been like that kind of was a big confidence boost, putting that song out and seeing like we can actually like explore all these different things, and if we just like feel like we're doing it right and we're not, you know, we're respecting our older material, and while moving forward, like people will come to it.
Putting yourself out there in any way, like whether it be just for the day or like, you know, it's scary, but like when you have a body of work that you've kind of worked hard on it in the background, to have someone react to it instantly, it's always like a fear. But I think you just got to kind of trust in what you've been doing and like what you've gotten to at that point, what people do like, and to just, you know, be confident.
Yeah, I feel like we definitely don't have overconfidence. Like we always like set our standards like here, and then when it gets like surpassed, this feels good. When we were doing like our What Comes Next tour, and like we booked the Metro Theatre, and I was like, oh my god, I don't want to play the Metro. I don't want to play the Metro. It's not going to sell. We like announced the shows, and like the first show sold out like overnight, and I was like, what? That's so
then
weird.
we ended up doing like 5, and I was just like, this is crazy. I don't even know what's happening.
Because like the year before we played like at this Newtown Social, which is closed, but it's like a 200 cap nightclub, and I was like, this is sick. Like we sold it out like a few weeks before, and then going from that to the Metro and then like to the Enmore has just been like, we've definitely seen like both ends of the spectrum, so it's just like really been a bit of a trip.
I feel that since the beginning of this year and kind of the outbreak of COVID, it's been weird. Like music's in like a purely like, it's in a realm of just listenership, like people listening to it on like Spotify, Apple Music, etc. That's the only real kind of exposure people are having to it. So it's kind of like, where does music, what is the function of music at this point, and when will it like return to being a live show? It's kind of liberating to kind of just write for the sake of listening without too much of it thinking about how it will function in like a live show. It's been kind of a little bit scary, kind of not being able to tour off the back of an album, because we've done that every single time we've released music. We've toured as well. Yeah. So it's kind of like, it's a good way to like, it's always been a good way to gauge what people think.
It's like, I feel like your album's like, if you think this album's good, wait till you come and watch it live. It's going to be even more fun and better. Because I feel like, especially for our live show, we always kind of pump it up a little bit and like up the ante, and we just like make the live show such an experience that it's like listening to us is one thing and it's like one element, but like when we play live, you can do things that would sound like maybe a little bit over the top on like the record, but just make for like a really cool experience live. Like, you know, doing some mashups that you obviously couldn't do, or just like
cool like transitions,
just doing really over the top
like
builds
atmospheric
and
moments.
atmospheric moments that are just really make for memorable moments. And when we write the album, we're like, damn, this is gonna be so sick to do this part live. I guess I'm just really looking forward to when we can play these songs live and go, damn, this part is fun to play live right now. Because like there's moments when we play our record or songs in a show, and I'm like, we're all just like looking at each other like, oh my god, this is
because it's always it's so different. Like listening to
It's like
stuff
this-
at home and listening to stuff in a in a theater or like at a festival.
Yeah, like there's like bits stick out more, and like things that you like really realize the core elements of the song and like what hits and what doesn't. And you can do like really cheesy things like the radio version of Can You Dig It, you wouldn't just have the steel drum going do 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 for like a minute, but like in a live show you could just do that and just build the tension for ages. And there's so much more like theatrical elements to a live show that just make it so fun to be at a show. And I love like going and seeing an artist, and it's not like they're just playing the studio version back to back. They've like
They'll
it's like a
flex
big
on it.
tapestry, and they've like got a narrative throughout the set.
I mean, I can't even relate because like this first mixtape was like the first thing that I put out, first body of work I put out, and I didn't even get to tour that.
Yeah.
So I do not know. Maybe what was it? 2023 was the joke when shows are gonna come back.
Yeah, like you can really play it like it's so collaborative. Like you're playing off the audience, and they're like giving you energy, and you're like feeding back, and it's just I kind of miss it.
Well, I guess there might be a positive, meaning like, you know, fans are gonna get all this time to live with the music, so that when you do play a show, they'll know your whole catalog.
That would be pretty cool.
You know what I mean? Which would be sick. Like you, instead of going out and you're playing songs for the first
I know,
time,
yeah, definitely
they
feel
know
that.
all the lyrics.
That is
I
scary,
remember,
but I
like-
do enjoy it. Like
Yeah.
you're like, well, this is the first time
It's
I'm
like
hearing it. Like,
you're
what
hearing
would
it
they
now.
do?
This song's gonna hit
yeah.
different in 3 months. Just wait.
Yeah, it's this album's been a while in the making, so yeah, hopefully we can get to touring it.
I really want to tour it. Well, hopefully yours and ours next year.
Yeah,
see you there, maybe.
for sure. Do you think like because there is a bit of a vacuum right now with shows, there's
More
like
people.
there's like more of a need now just to have like a lot more of a social presence?
Yeah, I
You
think
know what
so.
I mean?
Like,
Because-
I think that's why people are doing stuff like showing other sides of them.
I also feel like this is a time where people are kind of like they're investing more in like the artists as people. They're like it's a kind of a chance to get to know them a bit more.
Yeah.
So it's a strange time to be a musician. It's a strange time to be listening to music for sure.
Well, thanks for coming along, Steven, and chatting about your mixtape and writing with us on our album.
No stress. Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed this little chat.
Little convo.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, good
It's
luck.
full on,
Good luck in the
really
future.
lengthy.
Yeah, went into depth, giving
Yeah.
them the details.
Well,
yeah.
we can't wait for you guys to hear our album, and yeah, especially the tunes we got with this guy.
Yeah, honestly,
Yeah, stay tuned.
They slap.
I heard.